Welcome back to Untamed Social. I'm Rachel Strella, and I'm here with Tara Kay.
Hey, how's it going?
Today, we're going to be talking about storytelling and why it's the secret sauce to social media. So, let's talk about this for a minute. Now, storytelling is not just about sharing your own story, but I am going to open up with a story because it is about storytelling. So, we all love our pets, right? They're like our family. And
Right,
so
100%.
when something happens to them, we're heartbroken. If they're ill or if they go missing, or of course, the worst case scenario, they actually pass away. And last summer, one of my cats decided to escape. And I was absolutely heartbroken. I posted up on social media and on Facebook and groups and everywhere I possibly could. I think everybody in Harrisburg was looking for this cat. And I went through so many different scenarios trying to find him and trying to capture him. I created a custom trap. I must have had 25 people reach out to me over a period of 8 months thinking that they found my cat, and it wasn't my cat.
That's so sad.
But anybody can understand if they've ever lost a pet that, like, you're like, where is my pet? You just want your animal back so bad. In any event, in that 8 months, I ended up finding another cat and adopted that cat. And 3 weeks later, somebody in my community actually found my cat. And it was all because I posted on social media and I stayed consistent about that. And I shared the story of my sweet Bubby. And everybody was so wonderful in the community. When I finally found my Bubby, they were following my story and this journey with this cat for 8 months. And they were so overwhelmed with joy that I found my cat. This is the power of storytelling and community, really. This is the power of social media, yet so many people fail to do it. So, I mean, really, it's about creating relatable, engaging narratives. Not everything is as sexy as animals and kittens, but we can tell stories that are engaging. And it's really, I mean, when you think about it, it's marketing 101. The psychology behind, stories, they build trust and emotion and loyalty, and they're memorable. So let's talk a little bit about brands that are killing it with storytelling. Can you give me a couple of examples maybe that you could think of, Tara Kay?
Yeah, one that immediately comes to mind is Duolingo. I don't know if you've seen their stuff, but their whole shtick is like basically they'll post about like, we're watching you do your lesson today. We're watching you do your lessons or else, like kind of this playful, slightly creepy, threatening thing. Like it's a storyline that they've been going on forever. Um, and it works. Like it's everyone loves like following, seeing what they're going to post next. But in the last few weeks, they did kind of like this mini campaign. So like, everything is all about the story about basically telling, like forcing people to do their Duolingo language practice, right? But then they'll also do like these mini campaigns. And this last one was like, it was this whole thing about Duo, which is their little bird, the Duolingo bird. Duo was killed. And so they posted like, Duo's been killed, like who did it? Why
Oh,
did it happen? All this stuff. And so they kept posting like Duo's funeral and
oh, so,
Duo got yeah, it was so funny. Like they got all of Duo's friends to go and fake their deaths because they all were faking their deaths and they used the app too where when you went on the app it would say like save Duo or like you know Duo is dead, help bring him back to life or stuff like that. And even their followers like started hopping on board with this and they're posting stuff like I killed Duo, I did it, or here's how I think Duo was killed and all this stuff. So they just do a really good job of telling a story and getting their followers involved with it. Like it became its own social media trend. Like it
yeah.
was that big. Or Airbnb is another one where they'll like tell stories within each post. where people will post like guests will post at different Airbnbs telling their story about how they ended up at that Airbnb or,
Yeah.
you know, how much fun they're having there. Or they'll have hosts posting about their own Airbnbs. And so everything is like a micro story or like Duolingo, a macro story where you're involved and you know like, oh yeah, I know what's going on with that brand and I
Yeah.
wanna follow up with what they're doing.
I
You
love
know?
that. I'm an Airbnb junkie, so
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's super fun. I mean, I feel like no one really follows content just to like get information. Okay, that's not true. People follow content to get information, yes, but they like having information in an interesting way.
Hmm.
Um, like one other brand, even that you wouldn't think would do a very good job telling stories, is Glossier.
Mm.
They're, they'd use, they're all about like skincare products and makeup products. And the way that they do their marketing on social media, instead of just posting like, hey, here's this sale, buy this, like, hey, here's this new product, buy this, they show how all their products are being used in people's like real people's lives.
Yeah.
And they really focus on the human aspect, and on the user experience more than just on the products. So I feel like that's really um, how brands succeed is by telling their story and getting you involved in it.
Yes, I love that. The human experience. And that's just it. I mean, people, why are we sharing boring content? Like, share stories. That's what we need to be doing. And I think that's a big mistake that businesses are making. And they're just posting these facts, and nobody cares about that. Create a narrative around it. So it's such a huge missed opportunity. And I think that's where we can go from here. What makes a great storyteller? And so here are a couple of things. Relatable. Somebody needs to feel like, yeah, yeah, I've been there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally engaging, like something that we can totally relate to in that experience. We could feel that emotion that they're feeling. Clear and simple too. Like when a story starts getting really complex and you've lost it, like you've listened to stories when somebody's telling it and you're like, wait, what are they talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Preamble.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also conversational. Like you could tell when something's corporate speak. It has to be something that's like very easy to read.
Yeah.
This is a big one too. Like they know their audience, they know who they're talking to and who's listening to it. And the biggest one that I really love too is vulnerability. They're willing to be vulnerable. Um, and that's something I get a lot of pushback from colleagues and stuff is, you write these blogs, Rachel, that like really tell a lot of things about you. And I said, these are the vlogs that do the best because people can put themselves in my shoes and they're like, wow, you have the courage to say the things that I'm feeling and it makes you relatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So vulnerability is a big aspect of storytelling. The things that make stories flop are, they're too long and there's no hook. You're like, what is it getting at? What's the point of
Mm-hmm.
the story? There's no emotional connection. You're not really understanding the impact.
Right.
And then there's
Right.
really no payoff. Like, what is in it for the audience? Like, again, like, you have to know what the audience wants and needs. And if you can't make that connection with the story, like, you're really not getting at what a story is supposed to be about. So I know, like, we work with a lot of different clients. And we also seen a lot of different brands throughout, our history in marketing. Can you give us maybe an example of like a boring post versus a great storytelling post?
Yeah, no, definitely. I was looking through on my own social media just find examples of both. And it's funny, I realized like my algorithms are such that the things that I'm not interested in, obviously everyone, like if you're not interested in, if it's not doing well, it doesn't get served to you. So I really had to dig. But like, you'll see like a a kind of a boring example of something where like someone posts a photo of their company and it's like, it's Monday. It's like, what about it? Like, that's
What?
cool, but like, why? Like, there's nothing to it. There's no call to action. There's no emotional connection. There's no story. Like, there's a lot you could do with like, it's a Monday, and therefore, great story time.
Yeah.
But like, they don't take advantage of it. Um, they're like, we post for relative race for one of our clients, and we'll post like these reunion videos, and those are like perfect. They lend themselves really, really well to emotional content. And I've seen where there will be like, spoof accounts like trying to mimic relative race, and they'll like, pirated copy, post things, and
Yeah.
they'll say like, Rebecca meets her sister. It's like, cool. But you see something that, they'll
Yeah.
put on the relative race page is like, Rebecca and her sister just melted into each other's arms, like after years apart, da 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 da, and like,
Yeah.
it goes into this whole story.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that really, really has an impact on whether or not people are interested in reading or watching, or they just scroll right through.
You make a good point. I feel like sometimes people expect the asset to do the job for them. And a lot of times I'll say that it can, but there's something more to storytelling than that,
Hmm.
they say a picture can say 1,000 words. Yes, it can. But
Yeah.
great storytelling needs to have it all around, like wrap it all around for me. Like I want a compelling narrative, I want a compelling video and a compelling photo. I want it all to like pull me in.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. And like the platforms that we use all give you the opportunity to tell those stories. Like
Yes.
they give you so many options that if you're
Yes.
not using them, you have a huge missed opportunity.
When I was in college, I had a journalism professor who said that every single thing that you do, you need to answer the question, so what and who cares? And I always think about that with anything I do. And as a writer, like that was like, so what, who cares? And I think that it's great to think about that in storytelling as well. Like if it's Monday, so what, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Right? There's an opportunity there. Just take the opportunity.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk just really briefly about some of the best platforms and formats for storytelling because there's so many
Mhm.
different social media channels out there.
Oh, yeah. They're all over the place. Like, you've got short form storytelling,
Uh,
and I think that's probably more like TikTok,
yeah,
Instagram stories, and threads. There's short, bite sized content that grabs your attention real fast, and
yeah,
you don't need a whole lot there.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
mhm,
And I mean, for me, I'm as a writer, like I really like blogs as more of a longer form storytelling.
mhm.
And LinkedIn can be used more of a long form too. And it really
Yeah.
depends on your message. Like if you want, every platform has different. Even TikTok, you say it's short form, they allow up to 10 minutes. It's like all the platforms keep changing and molding. But I do find that like if you really want to get something out there in longer form, you want to kind of use rich content sources like podcasts, vlogs, YouTube.
Hmm.
If you want something that's kind of bite sized, like you said, I kind of think of Instagram, TikTok, X. It really does depend on how you want to put it out there.
Yeah. No, that's true. Um, and I think it's funny because in a lot of ways, we're gearing more toward long form content. Like,
Yeah.
even with Instagram and TikTok, like, they're upping
Yeah.
how long our reels can be. And people are spending a lot more time on that long form content.
Yeah.
So which is just, it's really great because then you have the opportunity to do both kinds of storytelling on the same platform,
Right.
depending on what people are looking for and where you are putting your information out there and where you're serving your content.
Yeah. Like if you're thirsty for more, well, you can have 10 minutes.
Right, right. Um,
Yeah. So the big talk in social media and just about anywhere online these days is AI. So what is the role of AI in storytelling? And I just read something this week that AI can now mimic human empathy, and even it's proven as a fact now that it can be even more empathetic than humans. And some major businesses like Allstate are using them to handle their customer service requests because they're not getting burnt out at the end of the day.
yeah.
They're more empathetic. So it makes
Hmm.
sense. So does that mean that brands like should use them as a storytelling? And short answer would be no. I mean, while they can craft these empathetic responses, AI has not actually lived those stories,
Right.
had that experience. So you think about some of the most impactful messages that you've ever seen. When you read it, you feel that emotion and you know that they've been there and you felt
Hmm.
that thing. So yeah, I didn't have that personal experience.
Yeah.
And it doesn't know what it's like to struggle or have been in that moment, had that doubt. On our worst days, we really want that like genuine personal connection. And like right now, I know there's a member on our team who her best friend, her son got in a car accident. He's 22 years old, and he's in a coma, and he's been in a coma for about a week and a half, and it's not looking good that he's going to wake up. And so the parents are in limbo, obviously, with grief. It's a grief that you can't really describe uh,
Hmm.
because there's no closure. You're hanging on to a shred of hope. I mean, it's just you don't want any type of AI bot to sympathize with you or empathize with you. You
No.
want a human being, who has real emotions to be there for you. And I think that's the impact of humans that could never be replaced. And I think this can be also the impact of true emotional connection that will shine through in storytelling always.
Hmm.
So as we think about, where can businesses use storytelling and AI, they can't replace it, but they can use it as a tool. And so, like, if I had to
Yeah.
give best practices, because I use AI as a supplement, but I use it to
Hmm.
generate ideas. Like sometimes I'm stuck on something I want to write, so it's like, how can I get started? Now I have an idea. I let it polish some things for me, but I don't let it create it from scratch. I'll be
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to write this from the heart. And then kind of just like have it maybe refine the grammar for me. Um, and then sometimes I just like, it will write it and I have to make sure I read it really well before I post it. Because if it doesn't sound like me or it doesn't sound like the brand, like, no, because you know
Hmm.
the language that you use and other people will know it's not you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There are definitely some things where I've read some things that people will post and I'm like, that that's ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT has its own voice and that was it.
Yes, and you know it. You just know it. Like just the other day, Lainey was like, "Oh, I saw the words digital landscape. Definitely AI."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we did
100%.
that. Yeah, nope, no. So, wrapping up the podcast here, why is storytelling so essential? I mean, to me, I think it's really just a secret to brand loyalty. When it comes down to it, um, you will not only become memorable through a really great story, you'll become unforgettable. And
Hmm.
that authenticity, like in the brand, is key. Especially, like, think about it in a world dominated by AI, could be a brand's greatest asset.
Yeah. Their authenticity and realness.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's definitely something that pulls people toward brands is that human element.
yeah, 100%. So I would challenge our listeners to look at their last 5 social media posts and, ask themselves, do they tell a story or are they just a post?
Yeah. I think that's a great exercise.
I'm,
I'm gonna go do that for us too.
I'm so curious.
Right?
Challenge ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thankful for everybody that's tuning in, and I'm looking forward to more Untamed Social.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Rachel. Great to be here.
Take care, everybody.